All right, so I'm a different tempo, a different person, but I come with the same purpose. All right. This is Miss Singleton. Me and Miss Singleton work together. So I guess it's important for me to kind of break down to y'all who I am, why I got the opportunity to be in front of y'all, my purpose, my value, all that good stuff. The gist of it is this. I am here today because I've learned how to correct my failures. Engagement is not a one-all, fix-all process. It doesn't come in one package, and it will not continue to stay that way once you find success within it. So what I am providing you is only some suggestions of how I've been able to accommodate and move around some of the experiences that I've had. Now, Kiana gave you the family perspective. My responsibility is to talk to you about linkages. So for those of you that were over in the linkage section, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you because I just wanted to pry in and see what y'all was saying. But I was given an amazing compliment, and I knew what it meant, but I tried to push that group with a little challenge and see what they said. But the definition that I was given in terms of linkages was connective tissue. So y'all looking around like connective tissue. I know y'all walking around, they talking about anatomy over here. What's wrong with this group? So that kind of describes one thing more holistic. Connective in the sense of bringing organs together, bringing organizations together. And understanding that we're coming together for what? For people. No matter what you look at it, the mainstay in all of this is people. Either your program wants more people. Either your program is trying to figure out how to manage the people you have. There is a common word in here that we're using, it's people. So I started looking into this, and although I do engagement for a living, my responsibility is I am the neighborhood engagement manager for the Cleveland Central Promise neighborhood. I am the person that tries to connect parents with a pipeline. This pipeline is envisioned to help every child in our community go from cradle to college. Now I'm talking about Central. My boundaries exist from 22nd to 55th, Woodland and Euclid. I don't go north, south, east, west. I don't leave that box. That is where I focus. That is how I operate. Okay? So with that being said, if we are going to be effective in helping a child transition from cradle to college, how can I do that without their parents? How is that even possible? I want to figure out who knows that solution because I don't see it. And because I don't see that, it is important for me to connect with parents like you. It's important for me to find not just parents like that, but parents who don't even know what engagement is. And so I'm here for you to speak about that. As I was reading, I kind of started brushing up on some things. And a definition that came across that I kind of like was engagement was when your audience values your work. I said, I like that. Not my definition, but I like it. So I dug deeper and I said, well, y'all, you know, I've been doing this for some time, but I've never answered what engagement is for me. And so my personal definition, and this is fresh off the press, I hope you like it, is that engagement is the intersection between needs and action. And the reason I say that is we so often look at ourselves and say, well, what's the difference between engagement and involvement? What's the difference between being present and not? To me, it could be as simple as your needs, whatever they may be. The need to be present, the need to act. However those two intersect is where you have the opportunity to uplift people and build their own. It's hard for me to volunteer when I'm in crisis. But as a savvy engagement person, if I find a connection between your crisis and this action, there's an intersection that will deeply root your engagement. Something that you can't do. So when I look at that, I'm looking at ways for us to connect people in that way. And although I have to talk about linkage in terms of organizations, I mentioned that we are here for the people, so you have to be able to connect with the people. So my definition that I bring to you is before I am able to connect Kiana with anyone else, before Kiana was able to get to this platform to speak to you today, it took me and her to get a relationship. And I wish I could say I woke up one day, walked down the street, me and Kiana caught each other's eye and was like, you know what, I like you, you like me, we're gonna engage, we're gonna make the world better. It wasn't like that. It took time. You know, when I looked at my job description, it was like, oh, you wanna connect people. You wanna increase meeting participation. Now my job description is engagement manager, but you're talking about increasing engagement. Not once on there did I see the word trust. It said communicate, but it didn't say the depth of which my communication So I'm looking at that and I'm trying to figure out, where does that really lie? And for me, my learning has come with taking time. Taking time to really look at the needs of the family, taking time to really understand what their values are and what our common level is, and how do we meet at that place. After you get to that point, then you can begin to talk about connecting with programs. But then, for the linkage people over here, the question will be, why? Why does it even matter? Several reasons. One, my program only has so much capacity. I can only do so much. And as Kiana mentioned, there are barriers to engagement. If I was the fix-all for Kiana, can I be the fix-all for everyone else? It's not a realistic task. So it's important for our organizations to be able to lean upon each other. So there's some people in the room that may even be from the central neighborhood, and there's a bigger issue here because the challenge may be, they may not even know who I am, what my program is. So now we have to talk about communication. Y'all talked about it, but what does that really mean? How can you connect a parent to a resource they need when you don't even know those resources that are out there? So being able to communicate, being able to figure out what resources are available and what resources aid the needs of the people that you serve, and understanding that truth. So what I'm really suggesting is engagement at this level is not just engagement of the family, that's one layer. I'm taking it a step further and we're talking about engaging an organization. How much do I know about your organization? How much does your organization know about mine? And how do we find a common path? To give you some examples of why this matters even further, I'll start with the first. I'll give you a negative example. I had spent months away this summer on my own professional journey building up some opportunities. My name was the name that another professional had knew that would be the person to connect this individual with some resources. So my phone received a call. I did not have access to that. He did not know or understand the people that I had in place to pick up these calls. So what he wanted was to connect me with a resident. A resident that was yearning to get out here and do something. Idle hands, just I want to volunteer. You don't hear that often in my profession. So there's somebody out here saying, I want to help, I want to do something. And I spent my time away, obviously unaware. And when I had returned, she had been in limbo for months. So then you have to ask yourself the question, how many people have been waiting for the right person to call? How many people have been waiting for some process? And in that case, I'm appreciative that the man did reach out. I was able to connect with her. And now that is beginning to evolve. But the communication. Obviously, I failed in addressing the needs that he needed to understand, the strategies and the chain of command that existed underneath me and how to get that person connected. That's one issue. Let's look at it from the positive side. The positive is in my spare time, I do sports-based mentoring. And so I was working with this young athlete, and I'm trying to connect him with opportunities of potentially getting college scholarships and help him transition to his life. So me and him were working on a very personal level. It was during the summer, we spent all this time together. To me, everything's great. It just so happened that I had the release forms and all things, and I decided I'm gonna go to a school and check on him. Mainly because I had something I needed to give him to, and I wanted his teacher's support on helping him fill it out. I get to the school, and the kid that I knew was not the kid that I accepted in school. So this kid is completely different. I mean, they're talking about, oh, he's gang involved, his house was shot up, things that he had not shared with me, possibly because he felt that it may impact what I had to offer him in terms of scholarships and opportunities. But more so, there was a difference in the person that I was engaged with and the person in school was engaged with. So what I'm saying to you is that by me being able to get into school, we were able to kind of wrap our arms around him and nurture him in a different way. That's the value of linkage. That linkage comes into play where we're able to say, oh, well, he's connected in one aspect in the community. We're connected in the school. How do we connect together? Now, that doesn't happen very well because the school has their needs, they have their gaps, they have their priorities, and not every teacher is saying that I can do this for all 60 of the students that I serve. But why not give them the chance to try? So I say all that to say that we really have to look at both scenarios and understand that there is a valuable connection with how organizations are my case, looking at the connective tissue, looking at how do we connect, how do we intertwine, how do we look at the bigger picture? Because our service needs are also equivalent to other service needs, but we also have to be able to collectively work together. So some basic solutions that I'm going to leave you with, and then I'll end there is one, this is not a process in which you use a wide paintbrush and try to paint the whole city one color or your whole client base. This is about details. It's about the fine points. It's about each family has different needs, each family has different requirements, and being able to identify that and fill those gaps. Two, it's about connecting with people and their purpose. So really understanding what is that individual's purpose and what is the purpose of your organization? What is the purpose of the organizations that you're collaborating with? Dig deeper is my challenge to you because it doesn't just come on the surface level. Three, as you've already highlighted, communication. Communication, communication, communication. So as I look at the evolution of my work, and in most forms of engagement, you will hit a plateau where you have the people that are with you and you know the people that are against you. You kind of know that. I keep seeing the same people week after week. So then I began to assess, well, what do I do? Part of my challenge internally, and I do not have all the answers, but I'm bringing it to you anyway, is that I was not communicating to the right people the right way. So if everyone that is in your engagement circle communicates in the same way that you are, when I look at growth and how my engagement is going to evolve, I have to be able to challenge people that think different. So I have to be able to find the people that I wouldn't have spoken to before. And what does that communication look like? For some of you, it was a text messaging app. For some of you, it's going to be knocking at doors. For others, it's going to be email. But yeah, the easy way for us to get out a flyer is to send it through email and to put it in 3 major hotspots. How many people don't check email? How many people don't go to those 3 spots? It's deeper than just that surface level. And on the outside, I'm looking at it, I said, I did my engagement. Scattered the neighborhood with flyers. I know that in an umbrella format that I was able to reach this person and that person reached these 3 people, so the community is covered. But that may not be the case. Furthermore, the extent in which you communicate. So like when I'm talking to the kids, the common thing that they will define in the music is the question of why do you like this particular person? And it's, in most cases, not what they say, it's how they say it. In most cases, your engagement is based not on what you say, but how you say. How you say matters, and therefore communication matters. Next, I would say understanding the barriers and the interests of the individuals that you are working with and supporting. So really being able to understand what barriers exist. Me and Kiana have spoken quite some time about transportation. We know it's a barrier. Childcare, we know it's a barrier. So how do we eliminate those things? How do we ensure whether someone uses it or not, that will not be a barrier to them getting it? We have our ideas, but most importantly, I suggest that you look into that as well. And next, I would say commit to the process. That is probably one of the most important things. It does not happen in a quick turnaround. You can host one meeting, have one person. You can host the next meeting and have one person, but committing to it. My challenge internally, in which I'm trying to challenge my organization, is not to look at us as an engagement team or department. They're like, oh, we got engagement people. We got Joe, he'll go out there and talk to whoever. And that's great. Problem, when you have an engagement department, you have an engagement process. That process eliminates full engagement. Now what really happens is people are attached to me, they're not attached to my work. I can make a phone call, but if I'm gone, can you? That's a challenge that we have internally with organizations. So how do we get everyone in our organization to see their role in engagement? Yes, you might not be the most people person, the biggest people person. You might not be the person that wants to run out there and knock on doors. That may not be your skill, your desire, your passion, whatever it may be. But all of us are responsible for engagement. All of us. And so when we're able to communicate that internally in our organizations, we have a better way to build up our aspects and build relationships. At the end of the day, when we are successful, the one thing that I know you will have, whether it matches